नाही. The meeting to order. We do have a quorum present. Meeting has been duly called. Appropriate notice has been given. We're going to go ahead and stand for the pledge. And this evening we have Ashley Looney, one of our school nurses, is going to lead us and then share a little bit.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for sharing. You're not going to get off that easy. Could you tell us a little bit about what it means to be a nationally certified school nurse?
Well, let's see, I had to be a school nurse for 3 years. Had to get my bachelor's, and then it was over about the course of a school year, doing some, I guess, student nursing, you could say. And then I took an NCLEX style test and passed, luckily. So that's kind of how I got that, but it was just a lot of, I guess, kind of working experience and wanting to take some time to kind of refresh myself and be able to really, have that expertise for our students.
That's great.
Been very blessed to be at the kindergarten with Kevin Roach and Denise, like to name a couple. Shout out to Kevin, and of course I work with some of the best students on earth, 5-year-olds. Hilarious and full of joy, and just excited to start another school year.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So this is a big deal.
It is.
This is not just something that's done on a whim, and it was a lot of work, and thank you for being willing to do that for yourself and for our kids, for our teachers, for our families, because a school nurse doesn't just take care of kids.
No.
They are a huge part of what we do every single day.
Well, thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, at this time on the agenda, we have our public comment section. But first, before, I'd like to just kind of set the groundwork here. So we open this meeting for public comments. It's a designated time for the community members to address the board on matters before us. So each speaker will be given 3 minutes to speak. We welcome your input. We encourage you to speak respectfully and professionally. We encourage you to avoid statements about specific students or district staff members in order to protect their rights. All public comments will be included in the recording of the meeting. We also encourage you to ensure you have followed our district policy, district chain of command, and district policy, which is policy 6.7, and it's on our website, and we could probably even have copies of it back there before signing up for public comment. So thank you for speaking, and we look forward to your comments. And so this is the first time that we've done this since the law has passed, and I'm pretty sure we're ahead of the game as far as the deadline. So
August 5th, I believe, is when
think
it's
that's when,
required.
So we actually had one gentleman sign up, Mr. Hat Myers. Thanks for coming in tonight. And just a reminder, we got 3 minutes.
Oh, thank you, Jason. I don't think it's going to take anywhere near 3 minutes. I'll keep it brief and to the point. I'm very pleased that the school board has got ahead of things in compliance with Senate Bill 90. And,
Thank you.
And the policy changes to your manual, I think will be a benefit to the general public, and folks will be able to come in here knowing that they have an opportunity to interact with the board on whatever topic based on the law that they want to address, whether it be a football team to the lunch program or whatever it is. I commend the board for that, and wish you all luck. And as the challenges that face the community and the school board, I'm pleased to hopefully be part of the solution rather than the problem. So thanks for this opportunity. I deeply appreciate it.
Thanks for coming in. Have a great night. And that was the only comment we have listed there, so we can move on to the approval of the agenda.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Moving on to our presentations. Mr. Gage?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Jason, Mrs. Dewey, and board members. Bill, you want to join me up here for just a second? So in 2022, this school board considered and approved the aviation STEM curriculum and CTE pathway provided by the world's largest aviation organization, the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association. And the administration then implemented the 3-year curriculum here in 2023. You will graduate our first cohort this spring. Some of you have visited the aviation classroom over at the junior high school. Tonight, I'll review briefly the national impact of this aviation STEM curriculum, where we have come in the first 2 years, and what is needed to optimize our results for future school years. With me this evening, Mr. Bill Holland recently moved from Oklahoma, where he was involved in the development of the most successful aviation STEM program in the nation. Just this year, the Oklahoma program expanded from 117 high schools to 144 schools teaching the AOPA aviation STEM curriculum. That is fully 20% of all Oklahoma high schools. Here in Mountain Home, you are in very good company across the country. You have in your material distributed earlier a slide summary that describes the curriculum implemented over the past 8 years. The aviation STEM curriculum is being used in more than 1,000 schools in 47 states, and 82 colleges in 21 states offer college credit for this course based on its science content. Results nationally are clear, with opportunity created for high-demand careers in aviation and aerospace industries. And don't think just pilots. Think engineers, weathermen, traffic controllers, mechanics, avionics technicians, drone operators, designers, airport managers, airline dispatchers, computer programmers, and hundreds of other aviation-related careers. How important is this? More than 71,000 students served so far, with 1,700 achieving advanced FAA certificates in aviation careers. This is high school. Our first group will walk out with theirs next year. Exposed to the high school curriculum, 94% are going on to advanced education of some type, college, military, trade school, or technical training, and fully 60% of graduates have secured careers within the aviation aerospace industry to date. So we are established here in Mountain Home, thanks to the board decision in 2022 and the hard work of our school administrators. We are about to graduate our first cohort. With this 3 years of experience then, what are our results? From over 100 students requesting the course each year, only 7 of the original 25 will complete. This loss is partly due to the usual small move-out percentage, but we have found it comes mostly from an incomplete and misleading class description in our course catalog and resistance to the location of this 10th through 12th grade class on the 9th grade campus. Mrs. Dewey, Mrs. Russell, and the administration have done everything they can, but do not have space to accommodate this critical STEM career pathway at the high school campus. It is a wonder we may graduate 32% of our starters in spite of this resistance, but that number is not likely to be sustained and already represents a loss of 50% of opportunity for some students. If this board and administration can support a solution, perhaps a temporary portable classroom, alternative course space at ASU Mountain Home with other classes, or swapping a space with a more flexible subject matter class, it could restore the potential to this program. One key factor has not changed: the support of the community through the Leading Edge Aviation Foundation, a group of pilots located right here at the Baxter County Airport. You may see one example of the type of support from Mrs. Lawrence's presentation later tonight. Class visits like that are available on request for any grade level the year round. And in the past 3 years, more than 700 students have experienced aviation learning and career exposure at our airport. Experienced pilots and members of the aviation community are committed to providing solid support for the aviation STEM program in many other important ways. For example, Foundation maintains an aviation corner in the library of the 4 upper grade level schools campuses with free publications available for the taking by students at any time. All career days and CTE events are supported with aviation industry information and mentors. Each year, 2 aviation internships for seniors are supported by the Foundation and the Baxter County Airport, focusing on airport management and aviation operations. And then there is the scholarship program, critical to backing up student achievement. The Foundation provides 4 types of scholarship, totaling more than $35,000 in the last 2 years. For grades 9 through 11, students can win awards to attend summer aviation STEM learning sessions at our military academies and specialized aviation camps. 3 of them are learning at various locations right now based on last year's scholarships. For graduates, 6 in the last 3 years are on their way towards aerospace industry careers. Here at home, the Foundation provides discovery flights for achieving students and others interested. And for those few students aspiring to pilot careers, that includes aircraft and instructors for an out-of-school flight training opportunity. Each of you have an invitation for such a flight, and I see one of my co-pilots in your desk here tonight, so I hope you might sometime join. Foundation pilots continue to attract donations to support the increasing demand for future scholarships, while also contributing to the aviation STEM classroom needs. As incumbent members know, we cooperated with the district to acquire 6 flight simulators for our aviation students to check their math by performing an actual flight profile. For one of your future campus field trips, I recommend and invite you to the Course and Family Aviation classroom to assess those resources for yourself. So your aviation STEM studies program is established. Our students are benefiting. And the chief need is to provide an adequate classroom location as we continue to increase the resources applied for optimum student opportunity. At the state level, Mrs. Dewey, the administration, and I are working with education regulators to adopt this aviation STEM curriculum as the state standard for the aviation CTE pathway, and even core course credit for graduation. All of this, along with the significant indicated demand from our students, points to a solid basis to support and expand this valuable STEM program. So I will leave you with the written materials provided in advance, and Mr. Holland and I stand ready to answer any questions or discuss your concerns as we work to be the best supporters for you and your students.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for taking care of our kids. You know,
Any
Excellent.
questions or comments?
You
about
mentioned
remarks?
classroom space over at ASU Mountain Home. So would this, I mean, have you visited with Dr. Wallace? Would there be room in the CTE area? Because I know we have, we see the problem. I just want to know what part of the, who's been questioned and how is this progressing?
Yeah, the space allocation is being dealt with by Mrs. Dewey and her staff. So if anybody has sought that alternative, it's been them. We just know that Mr. Muir has stated that if that is a solution, it'll be better than where we are now. We have to bus, at least we can bus to somewhere the students don't object to going. But I have not looked into that issue with the university personally, and I don't know if you have any idea whether you considered that alternative or not.
You know, we've been working with, of course, Miss Russell. I think I saw her. I know she may have slipped out. And Mr. Muir. It would be wonderful to have a space at the high school our sophomore class is very, very large this year. As the class sizes get smaller, we may have a classroom. The issue is material. They would have to share a room with somebody else right now. That's how full we are. And that equipment, those simulators,
It's more than just one.
I mean,
small
if we
part.
could have the exact same setup that he has at junior high, at the high school, it would be absolutely perfect.
So it requires more square footage. not like
It
a
would be
small
nice.
classroom.
I mean, it would be, especially for his aviation one, because those classes are larger and the kids may not understand the use of the simulators as much, because I'm sure he doesn't just let them go to the simulators. And we want to take care of those things that have been gifted. That's where we are.
I know.
It's space. We have offered Mr. Muir the opportunity to share a classroom. However, Ms. Russell, I know you actually spoke to Mr. Muir. He wanted his materials. Is that correct?
He said it would be difficult to teach the upper level aviation courses without
The sim-
the simulators. And I don't have, it's hard to share a classroom with those in the classroom.
Yeah, there need to be a separate lab or a
Right now.
large classroom.
But that doesn't mean we're not gonna keep looking. And that doesn't mean we're not gonna keep it on the front, on the radar, because it is important. And
Yeah.
we know that it will help our juniors and seniors take those level 2 and level 3 courses.
Yeah.
Why such objection of going to the junior high?
The student feedback is that they're going, the course is eligible for 9th through 12th graders.
Mhm.
So 9th graders that sign up are on their campus. 10th graders to sign up for the first year, because they can complete in 3 years as 10th graders signing up 10, 11, and 12. They have to go back to what they view as kiddie land in order to
It's a deal.
participate.
I know that's silly, but
one
it's real.
objection,
you
and
know.
we've seen 9th graders who completed the first year, went to the 10th grade, and then dropped out because they didn't want to go back to the junior high for the class. The other objection is, of course, the bus ride. The students that are optimal studiers and working on student activity don't want to waste time on a bus. Students who want to find ways to waste time and get out of doing things in school do want to ride a bus. And they end up sometimes in our aviation class holding a space that one of those other 100 kids who really wanted to register could have had.
Mhm.
That's the resistance that we're getting from the feedback of the players.
Ultimately, the class needs to be on the high school campus. I mean, that's our goal. Our goal is at some point to hopefully have a 9th through 12th grade campus, to where these level 1 courses could be
Eventually,
available.
yeah. But
Eventually.
if they want it, they'll make it happen. It's available to them. So if I'm saying, well, I don't want to get on a bus, then, well, they don't really want it.
Our level 3
Right, so-
kids, Ms. Russell told me who some of those students were that are enrolled in level 3, and they are kids who are super interested. I mean, it is
Sure.
a passion.
You know-
Several of them are out there with you all
Huge.
a
If
lot.
they're willing to go to ASU, I would think they could go right up to the junior high as well, too.
Exactly.
It'd be better
Um,
to have them there than at ASU, probably.
And I know Ms. Russell's answered the question I was going to ask, which is how dependent are the simulators in that level 3 course? Sure, I know we use them, I know you validate, the flight planning, et cetera, but hey, if it doesn't work, hey, let's do it without the simulators, and once a month you go up to the simulators and spend a period up there. Whereas maybe we still can get the bulk of it at the high school, and once a month they try, for example, truck up to
That's
the junior high.
An option.
You know.
Mr. Muir, I think we're gonna lean on him as well.
It
You know,
may be-
what is it Mr. Muir thinks is best for his class?
It's, from Ms. Russell, it's difficult to teach it without simulators, but that doesn't mean it's not possible to, hey, we're gonna teach it for 3 weeks and then
Mhm.
spend a week in the simulators, et cetera, to make it happen in the interim until we can get you your own space.
It is an option.
So,
Doug would have been here tonight. He's in Annapolis at his duties as the U.S. Navy recruiter for the academies. They're updating his required CE for that, or he would have been here. So
Sure.
you can work with him in the time available to
Yeah.
explore
Yes,
options
sir.
and see if there's a way to improve the
Sure.
situation. And I don't want to dwell on that issue, I did want to identify things that would help us be more effective and efficient, and that happens to be one of them.
Sure.
But what I would really like to emphasize is how grateful we are for the support of the board and how you are in the top 5 in Arkansas.
Sure.
If we can get 144 in here like Oklahoma has, you might stay in the top 5 because you made forward-looking decisions and you're supporting it just as well as you can. So thank you for that.
I'll just add, I moved here a week ago. I mean, we come into Mountain Home for 25 years. We retired from my other job, and we love this committee, and I've known about this program and kept up with it while chairing my foundation and working with the STEM program in Ada on the side. But I congratulate you for embracing the program and taking the challenge to do it. It will change kids' lives. I just want to reinforce another's challenges, and Ada was lucky. They're like the flagship of all of Oklahoma, plus nationally. We ended up taking kids to Oshkosh and presented to the foundation, and we were really lucky because we were the first pilot program in the nation, and the first in Oklahoma in 2017. In 2022, we got the biggest hurdle because I didn't know how much the electives were. When I was going to school, there weren't all these electives, so to be able to graduate, we were able in 2022, the petition took 3 years to get it done, to have the aviation STEM program become a core class. So we lost kids and lost retention because they wanted to be in band and athletics and whatever, they had to drop out. That was one of our big pitfalls. But you got to walk before you run. You're going to grow, and the word's out, and it's only going to get bigger and better. And I'll just came here and met Jerry last week, and I said, hey, how can I help? And I'm here, so just congratulate you on being part of it.
Yeah, and on that, we Allison and Ms. Cotter and Ms. Lawrence will tell you that we are actively working with the state education department leaders in CTE and curriculum development to have this program adopted and available for core credit. But as Bill pointed out, that may be a 2 or 3 year project, but we're going to keep it rolling in that direction, and I fully expect that will happen. The feedback from them so far on their work with AOPA headquarters in Frederick, Maryland, the same people that you incumbent board members worked with in the approval process, the feedback from the state educators is very positive. They're thankful that we're offering them something of such high quality and such good content with such proven results across the country that I feel like we'll be able to get that approved. Thank you very much.
I want to add 2 more things. First, I want to thank you because working with the scholarship program here that supports the school, 3 $2,500 scholarships were given away this past May. And those students have already been reaching out. They are very focused students, so that money will help them. Because y'all also work with your scholarships to go creatively. You work it creatively so that the students actually benefit from the funds.
So this is Molly Morgan telling me to get the check over
It's very subtle. I have ways. But the other thing I want to point out, and I had an email this week. I don't get that many from the community, but I did have one this week that was focusing on the new high school structure that we've had work sessions on, and went through a long thing about maybe we're not looking for something beautiful, maybe we're not, and it was very well written, very good verbiage. And my response back was, what we need is a building that improves student outcomes. This is the perfect example of what that means. What we need is a building that provides the workspaces that education requires in today's workplace. We need to be able to find space to have classes taught that create the future workforce that we need. That's how a building matters, is if a building can support the future.
And it's classes and activities, and we all know we're in competition with robotics and the NJROTC and all of the other world-class programs that you guys have created here in Mountain Home. So we're ready to compete, and we hope that we can support you in providing enough space for all of that kind of activity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next presentation is our budget discussion. Ms. Cotter.
And Ms. Harper.
I figured that pile of paper would be a lot larger.
She's got the other
She's
one.
got the big, oh, okay. Here we go.
I did ask Donna to join me tonight. She has really worked really hard and done a lot of pulling this budget together this year while I was writing federal applications and getting those submitted to the state. So I'm grateful for everything she has done, and I told her she needed to come up here and be recognized as well.
Thanks, Donna.
So what you have before you tonight is a first read, a preliminary budget. And we can just keep in mind, we haven't been given allocations for any of the federal funds, so these allocations, or these amounts that you see in the federal funds are estimations of what we think that we will probably receive. In the beginning balances, those are carryover amounts that we have from the 24-25 school year. And so we will start at the top with the 1,000 funds, and these are the certified teacher salaries that we currently have in the system. Of course, you have executive sessions that are going to be coming up that will have personnel changes. We will have to make adjustments in those things, and but as we stand right now, this is what we're looking like with certified salaries. If we move on down to the operating funds, as I had stated before, you can see those beginning balances, and you can see in 2001 we're ending the projection is that we're ending with a little bit less than we've started. However, we can explain where that's coming from. About 300,000 of that is the additional expenses, because this was budgeted as if we are zeroing out all the beginning balances, and that lets us see like worst case scenario of where we might end the year if we spent every dime. Also, it also takes into account just some additional expenses that we have been able to account for. If you look at the 2001 operating fund, in the revenue column, this is where, and this is, I'm sure maybe they've talked about this at new member board meeting, but when we have operating fund revenues come in, they all go to 2001, like from the state. So that's where we put our tax money. That's where we put any, reimbursements that aren't associated with a different fund. That's where all of those go. And so right now, we have budgeted approximately 95% of our revenue. So that gives us a little wiggle room there as we're finishing up the year. We have not wrapped up 24-25. Our books are open until the last day of August. So from now to that time, we're cleaning up our books, getting our journal entries done. So you'll see some of these numbers fluctuate. Do you want to see anything? Don't forget anything you wanted to stare. Okay. All right. If we move on to page 2, you can see at the top we have the building fund. And we have plugged in $200,000 in expenditures. We know that starting the year we had approximately $85,000 in encumbrances, and we also have one more payment that we will make, that $75,000 payment to the Booster Foundation for our ball field. And By my calculations, that should be our last
That's what I think.
last payment
I
for
believe
this
so.
year.
It's 10 years.
So
Those are 10 years.
that doesn't give us
10 years.
much wiggle room in the 200,000, but that's just kind of what we've got plugged in for now. Then, as you see debt service, you can see our debt service payment in there, and then we would transfer from operating to zero that fund out, because 4,000 has to keep a zero, needs to keep a zero balance. When we move on down to the 6,000 funds, these are considered all of our federal funds. And these are allocations that are given to us from the state. And we have to budget 100% of those funds, so.
A couple of those funds are still up in the air, aren't they? As far as, I mean, I know we haven't gotten allocations, but there are a couple of funds that federally
Yes.
they have, we're not sure,
And we have, and this is one of those things that could change. We have gone ahead and put them in as if we are receiving them, but the state has still not made a decision, or the federal government actually still has not made a decision on that. The talk is that 2A, which is Fund 6756, could possibly go away. And that's what we use for professional development for our teachers and staff that's above their required professional development hours.
So the number that's in there is the,
number that you see right now is our carryover. They guaranteed us pretty much from the state level that our carryover was safe. The fiscal period for federal funds runs 15 months, so it's July 1 to September 30th of the following year. And so we will probably expend most of that 60,000 by the end of September based on summer PDs and
Yeah,
things like
most
that
of your
that we
PD
have
happens.
committed to. Then Title IV is also in question. Title IV, if you can notice that it says transfer out, and if you look at Title I, 6501, transfer in, I'm allowed to transfer Title IV funds into Title I, and I do that because it gives us a little more flexibility as to how we can use those. If I keep them in Title IV, then there are percentages that are applied for only specific things that I can spend them on. But
and that's a
those-
question, that is in question right now, but we feel
Yes.
better about
Title
that.
IV is in question.
But we
as
feel
well.
pretty good about Title IV, right? Here in,
Um,
we just don't know. I mean,
I'm afraid to say at this point.
Yeah, understand.
We're just waiting to see what happens. Also, this Perkins funds are our CTE funds. We do projects and professional development for our CTE teachers from there. And typically, I receive those allocations in April or May, and we are still waiting on notification of those allocations. They think that we're getting that they say we are getting them. We're not sure about the amount, so we're hoping that amount stays about the same because we've got some good projects planned for the coming year. Then if you move on down to food service, you can see we've budgeted for as if we were spending all of that beginning balance just to, oh, actually we didn't. Sorry, I said that wrong.
200.
We've budgeted our expenditures and we have estimate to have a little over 200,000 left at the end of the year if all goes as planned. So we'll take any questions that you have. But this is just
if those
Preliminary.
federal funds are not allocated, if we do not receive them, what are we doing without?
One of the things we do spend, Title IIA, of course, is PD. We'll just make adjustments as needed. And this is federal PD. We do have some state
Mhm.
professional development money. Title IV, we have been moving to Title I in order to help purchase school supplies for our students. Those are considered supplemental because they are above and beyond what we have to have in the classrooms. It just helps our kids learn, right? So that is really the one I'm more concerned about. We spend what did we spend this year? A little over $100,000 on school supplies for our students. So we will just keep watching. We'll figure it out, one way or the other. But that definitely that's the one I am the most concerned about.
Yes,
Our Title I services are not in jeopardy. Our special education services are not in jeopardy.
Yes, I mean, if you hear out there, they're like, we're not getting Title I money, well, we
We
are. We just aren't sure,
Because we have quite a few staff members that are paid.
Yes,
They're Title I
and if you
funds.
recall, this past year, we took in several salaries into Title I when the ESSER funds
Yeah.
expired. And we had, because of the ESSER funds, we had a pretty healthy carryover from Title I last year that we don't have this year because we took in more salaries, we had more expenses, we had, our free and reduced lunch count went down, our number was down a little bit. So, there's lots of factors that go into that fund.
Okay.
And on the Title II Part A, did you say earlier that is for professional development that is outside the state requirement, correct?
Yes.
So it's just extra that we are doing past the state, right?
Yes.
For the Title II Part A?
We generally say anything over your 36 hours.
Would
that are
fall under
required.
that category?
That's how we would pay for that.
Okay.
And the key to the 6,000 funds, they're all the federal funds. The key to those is the word supplemental. If the state requires it, we're gonna use operating funds. If it's above and beyond, then we can utilize those funds to supplement.
Gotcha, okay.
And my understanding is you've looked at expenditures as if, hey, we're gonna spend everything, but we're only gonna collect, this is based on collecting, 95% of what I think. So that makes this a conservative budget, so we're probably not gonna see these numbers, right? Assuming we get collections that are above 95%, and we're not spending every dime that comes in.
This is where, this would be, we haven't spent everything that's come in ever.
Right. Well, I looked at food service. Food service runs a surplus every year, correct?
Right.
And this budget's showing it with a $227,000 deficit.
Ms.
So-
Harper can speak to that.
So,
That's
That's-
just an estimate right now.
Right.
I'm gonna work with them a little and get it a little more fine tuned because they have been not, they've
Sure.
been bringing in everything they've been spending basically. So that surplus has been there. We put it in there to spend a little bit of it, but I don't expect that they're gonna do that.
yes, ma'am. So I guess it's a conservative budget is what we're looking
Oh,
at here, where,
absolutely.
hey, these numbers are probably not, these are on the safe side.
Yeah.
Right, so
Expenditures
the-
are high,
Yeah.
revenue low.
Understood, thank you.
And this finalized doesn't have to be done until I'm forgetting that meeting.
Per policy.
Per policy.
Per our policy, we
Okay.
need an adopted budget before school begins.
Okay.
However, there'll be budget adjustments made all year long,
Right.
also based on policy, so that you all can see where we've had to add, take away, et cetera.
We did that
So we
last
may
meeting.
not have our allocations by August, so you'll just get numbers based on last year's numbers. Hopefully you will, but.
This year, it's it's likely, a lot of times we have to bring something back in September because this budget all becomes part of our cycle one. That is our required budget to be submitted to the
That's
state.
what you were asking, Mr. Knight.
Yeah.
So once you know, once they start giving us some more solid numbers, when you, like, even after you approve it in August, we might even bring it back in September.
Yeah.
as
When I was in the Hot Springs, they said for us not to get overexcited about the first couple of times we see these. Because there's gonna be a lot of wild adjustments.
I expect you'll see different numbers next month, and then I do expect you'll see some changes in September. Yes, sir.
So it'll be an action item in 3 weeks for the
Yes,
August
sir.
meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Also, at that time, we will also have analysis of property assessment and some of the other, if we haven't received the state categorical allocations, Donna and I have worked on those, and we think we've got those pretty tight. So we'll bring that for you to see. I did want to mention that our analysis of our property tax assessments for '24 for Baxter County was $826,769,506. That was up 5.3% from the prior year. In Marion County, it was $24,237,304, and that was up 2.4%. So, I mean, that's great that our values are going up. And then when we combine those, our 98% is $27,368,379. So.
What about collection rates?
Collection rates have been like 94.
They weren't this year.
So collection rates are down a little bit, which impacts us a little bit.
It does. It impacted us about $1 million
Yeah.
this last
So,
year.
maybe worth more, but you gotta pay it.
Yes, yes. And you know, that's misperception sometimes on the public's part about how much you get per student, because that per student, you know, is a combination of, from our local taxes with the state.
What is that split, most of the?
Depends on your percentage.
I do have the percentage, but
I don't have it with me
We have
either.
it on our,
I don't
worksheet.
have the percentage, but.
I can give it to you.
Yeah, we can get it to
We
you.
have it, I
I
just
can
don't have it with
email
me.
tomorrow. Does that
Yeah, that's
sound
fine.
good?
Okay.
It used to be like a 60-40 split, I don't know.
It's a little, that's a, yeah, I don't remember. We do pretty good on our collections, we really do.
Yeah.
You know, there's some districts that are at 88%.
Yeah.
So we do okay. They're just down from where we anticipated them
Yep.
to be this year. And we're hearing that around the county, so.
And we're guaranteed, you know, that
Guaranteed.
98%, so we get that uniform rate of tax to help us shore up. I believe this year, was it 900,000, 800 or 900,000 we got this year to shore that up.
880 something.
And it came
Last
like
month.
the end of June.
Last month,
Yeah.
right before vacation, I was so happy. It got here. Whew.
All right, are there any other questions?
Any other questions? No, thank you for all the hard work.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn.
Next item on the agenda is our academic report, Ms. Lawrence. Hello, good evening.
I brought my friend Becca with me, our district testing coordinator. We actually, a week and a day ago, received our summative scores from Atlas for grades 3 to 10. We're gonna report on those tonight. I'm gonna let Becca go through the slides for you. I will say K2, we're hearing October on our end of year scores for grades K2. That was not good news. We were not excited to hear that we will have to wait that long to see how those incoming first, second, and third graders did on their assessment. So I'm gonna let Becca share some numbers with you, and we'll kind of talk through some strategies we have and some things we're planning. So go ahead.
I feel like I've spent the last week staring at numbers. It's only been a week. So this is just the very top of the iceberg for our test scores. So I've given you the school average versus the state average and just broken it down into subject areas and by grade level. So, and just tried to simplify it as much as possible. So if you look at Hackler and specifically our 5th grade math, like I should have put this over on the side, but you're looking at 51% proficiency in 5th grade math across the board. Like that's every kid in the building, which is pointing to some quality instruction happening and really hitting those blueprint standards and all the things that you have to do during the day. So there are areas in each of our buildings that we need to grow, and there are areas in each of our building that highlight. If you look at Pinkston on the next page, one of the things that stood out from Pinkston all the way up is our kids who are placed in honors classes are placed in honors classes for a reason. And with Secretary Leva's push for honors to go down to 5th grade and 6th grade, I think we're gonna see this trend happening even at 5th and 6th grade levels. But 6th and 7th grade math, you're looking at 96% proficiency. I mean, just an incredible accomplishment for those kids and those instructors. At the junior high, the same trend continues. Our honors kids did really well. There are areas at the junior high, just as in every other building, that we need to improve. But one of the great things about Atlas data is when you start peeling back those layers of that iceberg and that onion, you get a very clear picture of where we need to improve. So I've met with building admins, I've met with Allison and Judy. I think Judy and I talk every day. We're best friends now. Coming up with some very concrete solutions for our teachers. Specifically, it drills all the way down to, like at the elementary level, maybe a kid wasn't proficient in ELA. It's gonna drill all the way down to look at, well, they weren't proficient in vocabulary. So here's what that teacher needs to focus on for that kid. So it's exciting to see what the data is looking like when it's coming back to us from Atlas. You look at the high school, same trend again. Our high school grew, Allison told me before we walked in, was it 16% or
15.
15, that's close.
Overall subjects.
15% across all subjects.
From last year.
From last year to this year. So 15% more of the students at the high school were proficient than the year before, which is great. And then you look at Guyberry, even though
Fantastic. That's not
Yeah.
great. That's awesome.
yeah.
High school is pretty exciting.
It should be.
And I mean, you look at the end of course exams, even I've been at ADE Summit this week and sat in a session with Hope Worsham, who is the Deputy Assistant Commissioner, somebody important. And she says, yeah, we realize that EOC geometry is a bear. Oh, okay. So for our kids to perform where they have performed, with them knowing that it's a beast of an assessment, just excited to be able to drill into that very specific information and data and meet with teachers and CT teams and building admin and figure out how do we keep growing our kids. And Guyberry, we know that is our alternative campus, and those kids, I will say, we tested 100% of kids at Guyberry this year. The year before, we missed one kid, so we were put on alert because it dropped us under our 95%. And that kid was actually incarcerated at the time, and it was this whole big thing. And I am super proud of Guyberry that we actually went and picked kids up, and so that they could test. And they actually showed growth from 23-24. I looked at 10th grade ELA just because that's the end of the road for ELA. And of their 13 kids that were in 10th grade, 4 of them moved from a level 1 in 23-24 to a level 2. So they're still not where they need to be, but with all the things going on in those kids' lives, for them to move a whole level is worth celebrating. And there are pockets even at Guyberry, the biology class, and you can look, like this data shows the very, very tip of where we need to start. I'm super excited that if I'm sitting as a 5th grade ELA teacher, I know exactly what I need to teach. So we've given them some, it's a spreadsheet, it's really pretty, but it's a spreadsheet that the teachers will all go in and look at their kids that they had last year and compare them to their scores the previous year to see if that kid grew. And that's phase 1, so that's kind of that reflective piece of how did my kids do last year. And then phase 2 will start with K-10. It will start with this year's end-of-year assessment as the baseline. And then the state has added a middle-of-the-year interim, even for K2 this year. So K10 will have a middle-of-the-year interim that we will get immediate results on, that every teacher will be able to say, did this kid grow from last year to the first interim? And if they didn't, what's the conversation?
Mhm.
So I'm excited about the data that's coming back. They did say K2. They're not going to give us levelized scores this first year. We're going to get an at-risk or ready, which is okay. But they did listen to teachers and listen to some of the hiccups that were happening with the frustration with K2 and fixed it. Kevin went to the co-op to a training. Did he leave? I guess he did. And was super excited about it. He and a couple of his teachers have already started working on it as well. So we know that, yes, we beat state average in most of our areas, but we can do better.
Absolutely.
So we have a plan and we know what we need to do, and let's roll.
What questions do you
Oh,
I'd like to have a work session in September where we can dive even further into some of this, talk about some things that may need to happen for the future. I'd like for y'all to see some of the plans some of our teachers are working through. I can assure you all that Ms. Lawrence and Ms. Camp and the principals have been diving into this because we see areas to celebrate, but even more importantly, we see areas that need significant work.
I have a lot of that data. If you want it, if you'll just send me an email, I'll be glad to send it to your house and I can send it all to you.
I have
You
some
can
other
forward
things
it
I
on.
think I'm gonna forward tomorrow, some work, and let y'all dive in with us.
For public knowledge, because it is a lot, so you see this and it's yay. But when those report cards come out about the schools.
So that's coming up.
It's not just about
Correct.
the hardcore data, it is about how much did the student grow.
Yep.
Mhm.
So there's
And the higher your scores, the harder it is to prove the growth, or do you see teachers
They
challenging?
have amended some of that with our level 4 kids. So
Mhm.
let's say level 4 kids scored a 1020 in 3rd grade. And in 4th grade, he scored a 1020 again. That would still be considered growth and be a positive marker because the standards have increased.
Mhm.
So they have listened to that, and growth is,
Okay.
at the elementary level, 1/3 of the formula. I think there's.
Well, 2/3, because you're also looking at growth at your bottom.
Mhm.
The lowest 20%, 25% counts as part of that growth.
That
But
count twice.
this portion, how many kids are proficient, is a portion of that formula.
Part of your score.
What I'd also
Okay.
like to do in September is share how school report cards are calculated now,
That
your
would be
grades.
great.
That would be huge.
That's what I would like to do. We will have our growth scores, we'll have some simulations. There's some tools available that you can see the difference that 1 or 2 kids can make. So, there is plenty of work ahead, but I would like to do that in September. Go through exactly how those are calculated, and we should have early August, should have a simulated grade.
Okay, I'm gonna ask this question, because it really is, I mean, I really am curious, but I wanna make sure I ask the question correctly. So we look at these fantastic scores. Is there ever any way that the data's broken down where it shows socioeconomically?
Yes.
So we have that.
You can break down the reports in Atlas by,
So then that helps us know how we can talk to parents and say, did you know that you can do this and help your child? Because sometimes parents don't know that reading to their child at night, or taking them to the zoo, or, and it's little bitty things.
the state has also
They
redone
can
the
sum-
parent portal of Atlas, and they've made it easier for parents to access, so that will be coming out through open house and all of the
Perfect.
things, and there are all of those tips, like your kid scored a level 2. Here are some things you can do to improve your kid's reading. So getting our parents plugged into that, the state's done a phenomenal job in providing everything in a nice package. It's a lot of numbers,
Yeah.
but it's phenomenal when you get in and look. And you guys all have access to Atlas if you want an account. You just let me know. I can sit down with you and walk you through how to look at things. Of course, with every program, there's quirks and there's weird parts, but I'll be glad to walk you through how to access this data.
And one thing that teachers will be doing when they come back, with the template that Ms. Campus made, they are gonna look at their information student by student. We're gonna look at longitudinal pieces for every student in their class. It's not just how their class did, but we really want them to reflect on, so they'll be looking at that when they come back, so. And then we'll be ready to switch the lens to moving forward. But we are gonna spend a lot of time reflecting on this in service.
Good. This may be more for the work session if you're talking about it. I mean, and maybe I'm the outlier here, but certainly there's some highlights, but I'm not as excited about a lot of these numbers as maybe others are. When I see third grade ELA, we're at 32%, the state average is at 36.
We're not excited about that.
So
Mr.
I know, and
We are not.
I have no doubt that every year we've seen numbers and said, hey, we know we have a plan, we're gonna address something, we're gonna fix this, and we're gonna go better, and well, we're kind of still here, we've gotten a little bit better. If we do the same things over and over, we should expect the same results. So that's what I said, maybe this is a question for the work session, but what are we gonna do different than we've done in the past when we've seen numbers that said, hey, we gotta do better? What are we gonna do different?
I can tell you the data we're getting back from Atlas is 360 degrees different from what we got back from ACT Aspire. You were given a number in ACT Aspire, and it did break it down, but the simplicity of what teachers can see, and even at the K2 level, they're called testlets, but it's, okay, a kid's at risk, it breaks it down into, and I'm gonna say all the things wrong, because I didn't teach K2, but letter naming, phonemes, it breaks it down into very specific sub-skills that we've not had in the past.
And
So-
it does make you progress monitor those specific skills before they move on to something else. So you can't just say they got it, you gotta monitor with a piece of data that shows they got it.
So
I'm
the
really
specific-
impressed with that part
That
of
part is
Atlas.
one of the better.
And I think as a teacher,
Mhm.
that would be so beneficial, and it's instantaneous.
Mhm.
And then you know what you have to do.
Mhm.
You check to make sure it worked. If it doesn't,
You gotta
we
do
have
it.
other processes in place. I will say, from the gifted standpoint, this is not measuring above grade level. So I wish it was more adaptive, like what we've used in the past at NWEA. ACT Aspire gives us percentile rankings that will show us who's above grade level. This is not that kind of test. It does not test above grade level. It's not telling us how far above grade level our gifted population and high ability students are. So for me, it is excellent for
Great level.
grade level. It falls short. I give them a B on taking care of high ability and gifted kids, because there's really no way to show that they are growing, and generally they'll function above grade level. But we do have acceleration in place, and Aliva is leading the charge on that. And we've always done it in Mountain Home since I've been here, that our 8th graders can take Algebra 1 early
Biology.
and things like that. So I love seeing that honors is coming down to 5th grade. I've seen the standards. They've shared those with me.
So you got a sneak peek, didn't
I
you?
did, and it
Good.
looks good. It's like what I did when I taught 5th grade pre-AP at Pinkston in 6th grade. So they're doing it. It's coming, and it looks. I can totally endorse it, and I'll be happier with them. I just wish the testing yielded what we used to get, because we utilized that for placements,
Sure.
and so.
Scott,
wish
Scott,
it
the
was a
one thing I
little bit more
want to
adaptive.
encourage you, like, this is year 2 of Atlas. So this is the first year of growth that we've been able to see within Atlas. So I don't feel, this is year 840 for me as testing coordinator. I don't know, this is year 4. I have never felt like I knew how to help staff grow kids until this. And I think everybody can say the same thing, and it may just be me being ignorant, and I just didn't know any better, but I feel like it is very concrete, And if I'm a fifth grade ELA teacher, I know exactly what I need to do, from the blueprint from the state to my reflective piece to my new piece for kids that are sitting in my room.
So Atlas is gonna provide us, or is providing us a fidelity of the data that we can actually take actionable steps on that we
Yes.
haven't been able to in the past. And that's gonna be the difference, the change from what we've seen in the past.
I
going
think you're
forward.
also gonna see more documentation of those actionable steps, and I can share, I'll share that as well. We're working through how that works for individual teachers, how that works for grade levels. We've got a plan, and I really do, I look forward to sharing it, because we have some, I'll just be honest, I
We're
was
all on the
sick,
same page. I have
right?
no doubt that we're all on the same
to look
page
at some of
of,
these,
hey,
and then
let's
to
move.
celebrate at times, and that's
Yeah.
what's so hard,
Yeah.
is seeing the areas that need the work, and at the same time turn
Sure.
around and make sure folks know
Yep.
how proud we are.
Yep.
Because our teachers are working their tails off.
Of course.
We want to
That's-
continue to provide what they need.
And that's my question. Hey,
Maybe to work smarter,
I know
not
we're all on the
harder.
same page, we're all working,
You
but what are
are.
we gonna
It's
do
great
different
questions.
to
It's-
affect a different outcome?
Yes, sir.
From this year,
Yes,
from
sir.
last year? That's what my question was. It's not that
Absolutely.
we're not all on the same page, we're not all working really hard, et cetera, so.
So we will,
Maybe the work needs to look a little bit.
it's got to look, it must look a bit different.
But help me with this, because I've always been confused by it anyway. It's kind of a springboard of what Marcia said, and it's a springboard from what Scott said. And I look at this, when I see sixth grade honors math, 96%, that's great. What's the difference in that sixth grade honors math? Why are those students? Is it because of exposure they're getting from home? Is it because they're naturally gifted? Why is
I
that
think
score
all of that.
higher
if
than
you
just?
knew
I
that
think
answer,
both
you
of
would be
those,
very
I mean,
rich.
you've answered it.
So
And they
that's
are,
what I need to work on.
It's both, it's
Yeah.
it's all of it, right?
It's both, there's the IQ and
Well,
school
there's
ability.
element of
The
rigor.
So
ability
it's
to
just
do
they're gonna
school
score
well.
better on the test because of, I think that's I've always had that question. Why are our regular traditional classrooms not pushing the button as hard as, is it funding? Is it socioeconomic
It's
conditions at
it's
home? What is it?
a
What
lot
is
of
it that's
ability.
causing that?
Capacity, yeah.
But, I mean, if you'll remember when we used norm reference testing, and it follows a very regular bell curve, you got 50,
Mhm.
50th percentile,
Sure.
that's the bulk of your students, and then you have your students that are in the top 15% or 25%, and in the bottom 25%. So if we looked at it that way, we would want to see, of course, our honors scores to look like they're looking, and then we would want to see our
More in the
others
middle.
at least 50%.
At least.
Is what, is
Or at
how my
least
mind
60
works,
or
but I will
75.
step out and say,
I
I analyze data all
Yeah.
the time, and that the last year's scores, the geometry was a concern. I asked Ms. Dewey, oh my gosh, what's going on? But then remember, Barbara, since the beginning of time, when we've been testing, what's our lowest tested score from the babies all the way to high school? It's always geometry.
But then that goes to Mr.
Always.
Booth, so are we treating it the same all the way since the beginning of time? Are we expecting it to go? It should shift. At some point, it should shift. And of course, y'all
I
kind of
mean-
know my background. I just hate seeing traditional classrooms. I get the bell curve. I mean, I remember stuff. That ought to be,
We can do better.
yeah, just as much as the honors.
Like our level 2 piece is, we're holding too many kids.
Yeah.
Like the data will show, like one of the teachers that I did, I just plugged a random person in and put all the kids in level 1, all the kids in level 2, level 3, level 4. Teacher didn't really move very many of the level 1 and level 2 kids, but moved almost every 3 and 4 kid. Either stayed at 3, stayed at 4. Well, then let's look at another teacher. Maybe she or he was really strong in moving 1s and 2s. So let's get these two people together. Let's figure out, hey, how are you doing this? Well, how are you doing this? Let's look at our curriculum. Like, that's the work
That's good
that's going to
stuff.
happen
Yeah.
this year. And I think we'll go through that together in the September meeting, but that's what's coming.
Well, if you remember, last year, we didn't even have our data when school
Yeah.
started.
And this year it will be immediate,
So
they're
we
saying.
didn't get to really
Yes, after
reflect
they take-
much before it we were off and running.
And in the spring, we believe that we will have our summative data, I heard today, 48 hours after our kids' test.
It will be immediate this year, and they're
Within
saying
48.
the same for K2.
K2, we gotta get K2.
So K2 will start with a universal screener this year,
And Dibbles.
and their DIBELS, beginning of the year, and we're actually participating in a DIBELS and Atlas alignment with the state, to make sure that they don't need to change anything else, because they listened. You know, districts are still purchasing DIBELS, and we need to fix Atlas to match. So K2 will start with universal screener. We'll look at sub-skills and things that they need to address. They've added a middle of the year interim, so they'll have another data point November-ish. Now there's also a middle of the year screener that's aligned to middle of the year standards, so they'll have another. So your K2 is looking at 5 data points throughout the year, which is phenomenal. So they didn't get it last year, so, and they're saying it will all be immediate, so the Atlas roller coaster continues.
Any other questions?
I don't have. No, I
We
think
do have 2 days of work sessions with our solution tree rep that y'all have graciously, well, that's what we've been using our state grant money for. That is not, it's not federal, that's our state grant money. She's gonna be here supporting teachers and some of their collaborative teamwork. Y'all are welcome to join us. We'll be at Hackler all day Monday and at High School Library all day Tuesday. If you just wanna see what the collaboration looks like. It's Dr. Emily Feltner. We spent a lot of time with her, and she tells you like it is. But we really have a good relationship with her. So that's happening next week, and then she's with our leadership team on Friday. She's gonna line us out.
Right. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Any other questions? This is a little more lighthearted, but I wanted to throw out one lighthearted fun thing. I do want to celebrate this with Mr. Gage and his team that so graciously allowed our summer enrichment program to come visit at Baxter County Airport. We loaded up. I do want to say that was our highest attended day for summer enrichment. We had a great turnout. Our teachers loved it. We got on a bus. We had stations set up. If you want to keep going, Kelly, I put a lot of photos on the slides just so you can get a glimpse at what all they got to do that day. They rotated through 4 stations, and you can see some of the things they got to do. They were inside for 2 and outside for 2, and the classroom, they got to do some activities around just the piloting piece and do some research and just see where all these things are happening. And then they got to actually sit in the plane, pretend they were flying. They loved it. They had their experts there at each station explaining different parts of what they were seeing, and it was fantastic. So they left there with lots of goodies, lots of excitement. They had a talking page before the trip. Mr. Gage, he's very crafty. He knew to give them talking points before the trip, which is why I think it was so highly attended. So we sent those home the week before, and then when they left, they had new things to take home, so new things to talk about. And so it was.
I was told
great.
the best field trip, like the best organized. It
Blue
was
skies, beautiful day, great day to be out there.
The best.
Anything else y'all want to add about our field trip? It was a great
Well,
day.
that preliminary briefing sheet that we sent home was an effort to incorporate the parents
Parents, too.
into
Yeah,
their,
Yeah.
into the process. So
Conversation.
they had
Loved
a
it.
week to work with their
Great.
students and prepare them for the questions and the issues that they were gonna see and the opportunity they would have to learn. And we thought that was important because the more the families know about the opportunities and the more excited the kids can get, so.
And so it was a great day. And we'll have more to come. We have some more data to share with you next month. We have some great AP celebrations to share with you, and we'll have some more information about some professional development, so
Thank you.
more to come.
Well, and a quick note as of this leading edge enrichment trip, as somebody who had 2 children that were there, I can verify that they had a fantastic time. From everything they brought home to including cutting up the AOPA magazines with, look, I had this cut out of an airplane, to, I did have to I did have to convince them or let them know that they weren't going anywhere when they went to the airport. Because they're used to
weren't
showing
getting on
up on a
airplanes.
vacation destination, like,
Uh-huh.
we're going to the airport. It's like, no, but you're not going anywhere when you get there. It was fantastic. All of the summer Richmond as a whole was a fantastic. I heard some grumblings about going to school during the summertime and they didn't want to go, and every day they'd come back glowing with the projects they'd done, the
Good.
things they had done. And of course, this was the cherry on the top. They really enjoyed that, so thank you, Mr. Gage. And thank you to the
Hopefully, we
district.
can do that next year again.
Yes, ma'am.
I think it's really good.
Next item we can move on to is financial reports.
Before I get started on the financial reports, I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update on student insurance. We put student insurance out for bids again this year, and I just wanted to inform you that we are changing companies, and when we requested the proposals, we received 6. So we were pretty excited about that. There was a wide range of cost for those plans. However, we landed with EBI, and that will be Players Health, and it started on July 1st. Our premium is $11,900, which is considerably less than any of the previous ones we've had, and they have guaranteed us that price for 2 years on the Premier plan. So after that 2 years, I'm not sure what will happen. Oh, we all know what will happen. What am I saying? But at this point, that's the direction that we have chosen to go in, and that will cover all school activities, sports and school activities included. And there is, it met or exceeded everything we had in our previous insurance for considerably less. It
Question
will,
for you about the insurance.
sure.
What exactly does it cover? Because I had a daughter who broke her wrist playing basketball in the 9th grade, 8th grade, somewhere along there, and it paid nothing.
Well, just this insurance that we carry is secondary to a person's primary insurance. And so to say that it pays the exact same on every student, it does not, because it depends on what those individual insurances
Okay.
are, and
So-
then the maximum that.
So if you've got an 80-20 policy, and you're responsible for the 20, and, or the, whatever your deductible is, at what point does it come in and pay anything?
It doesn't.
It wouldn't on a
It never
policy
pays
like
a
that,
dime.
right? Yeah, I don't think it would.
I've never had a school insurance policy. I got hurt in high school, didn't pay a dime.
We've had
We've
some
paid
cases
out.
where it
We've had
paid a
some.
lot, and we've had some cases where it didn't pay a dime. In the past policy, we did have a $500 deductible as well in the secondary insurance, but this one's gonna have a 0 deductible.
But what good is a deductible if it's not gonna pay?
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I can't.
Because now with the new laws and everything, all the children in school should have health insurance. So, at what point is this supplementary? Typically, a supplemental insurance policy, if you go and you break an arm and your insurance pays, it still pays you X, Y, Z for a broken arm, period. But like I said, we,
I have it all detailed in the plan, and I can give you a copy of that.
okay, I appreciate it.
Sure.
So,
Would everybody like that?
is that required to have that? Is this state law?
Are we required to have this insurance policy?
We always have.
We're required, but we felt like it was best practice to have one.
Mitch, have you had any of your athletes get any money through them or anything, do you know
Yeah.
of? Have you?
Right, and it's kinda like what she said, we've had one that flew out of here, and it covered, like, everything. And then we had one that had a fracture in the arm that didn't cover much.
Yeah. So there's no rhyme or reason how they pay.
Right.
We'll get you a copy though.
Yeah, there's gotta be some details in there.
So
Yeah,
this,
there's gotta be, 'cause
so
it-
this covers medical. When I heard that number, I figured it was a liability, but, so we're covering all 3,800 students
11,000.
medically for $11,000 for the year?
Well, it's a great
Supplemental.
price if it pays something.
Supplement.
Yeah.
So this is,
Supplement.
Yeah.
this is better than, this is a better policy than we had for less money.
Well, I understand that, but I'm not disputing it might be better, but I wanna know what it's gonna pay, when it's gonna pay, and how it's gonna pay.
And it's case by case.
Do they do that according to the insurance of the family? And then they do, so that's probably
It's
why
secondary
that happens.
to their primary insurance. So they gotta fulfill their primary insurance before
No, there's
this
additional.
is an opportunity.
We'll see with,
But when the accident occurs, we give them all the paperwork, and then the school is not involved in that process after that, because it's their medical records, and so the parents are responsible, and it states, usually states all of that on the form.
not a fan. Does it cover everybody from K through 12?
Mhm.
Even,
And parents will have the opportunity, they're offered, if they feel like they wanna buy additional coverage, that opportunity is there as well.
And what line item is that on here, or is it
It's
not?
just an operating.
It's not
Oh,
on
it's
here,
not a
it was,
line
it's
item.
paid out of, it would be paid, an expenditure out of Fund 2000.
It's out of operating.
But because it didn't,
Exceed.
take in effect till July 1, and it's for this upcoming school year, they delayed, they allowed us to invoice us and pay the payment after the start of the new fiscal year.
you know what the rating is?
I do not have that on hand.
Any other questions on the financial reports?
Well, we haven't done the financial report. We were talking about insurance.
Are you gonna let me sit down, okay?
What else would you like to share?
Oh, moving on. Okay. Let's look at the statement of changes in fund balance for the month ending June 30th of 2025. This is the last month of our fiscal year, and as I had mentioned earlier, when we looked at the preliminary budget, our books for the year, we're not receiving any money, we're not writing any checks out of the 24-25 school year. We're just making necessary journal entries to wrap up our year for cycle reporting. So we ended the month of June with $14,426,898.28. An example I will mention is in Fund 2034. That's our preschool daycare that we have, our Little Bombers Academy. And that negative balance we will bring to zero when we make our journal entries. If you look in the 6,000 funds, we just have a few that have negative balances, and those would be ones that where we would make accruals because we will be receiving those funds. It's just not until they start paying out federal reimbursements again, and so we would make those accruals and then reverse them in period 1 and receive that money as it comes in. Receiving it in the 25-26 year, let me clarify. Moving on to the next page, if there's no questions. We had total revenues for the month of June 30th of $5,310,144.05. That was up
from June of last year by 1.5 million. And that had something to do, remember last month I talked about a little delay we had in getting funds from the county, so this got us caught up. Then we had total expenditures for the month of June at $6,491,495.81. This was down compared to June of last year. Our expenditures were down by about $138,000, and that was due to us wrapping up some grants that were expiring, and we were in a big push to finish those up in June last year, and also some of our carryover had an impact on that. If we move on to page 2B2, the monthly operating fund balance tracking, we ended June with $7,926,614.19. That was it as of June 30th, and of course, this number could change some as we close out the year, just due to us, those journal entries that I have talked about earlier, as we're finishing up our cycle reporting. When we move on to the activity funds, we ended the month with all funds combined of $620,588.40. And then the following reports are the system reports that support the information that I've just presented, along with the June check register.
Any questions? Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Keller.
You're welcome. I think I got my map on there. No, actually,
Not
I have
yet.
two more, but it's a little ways down.
Ms. Dewey, your enrollment report.
As of today, as of the printing of this report, we have 3,654 students. We do have we're at 202 or 204, Mr. Roach.
Well, we're at 204.
Yes, sir.
I got a phone call today, we're probably going to 203.
Okay. I had written down 204, so we had 200 enrolled on this particular report in kindergarten, so the number is a little higher, 3 students. So I did make some phone calls. I know I've shared my concern about the numbers, and as far as enrollment in kindergarten, I did contact 4 surrounding districts, and each district significantly less kindergartners this year. Some of our schools not having 5, some of our surrounding schools not having 5 students is quite a deal. Classrooms, fewer kindergarten classrooms at 2 of the districts, and I think Yelville said they were 15 lower than this time last year. So this is not a mountain home problem, and there are fewer kindergartners right now. Same number last year at our private school as they had the private schools. So there just aren't as many kids, or they're not in the area. I did talk, one of you, I'll say Miss Morgan shared that Stuttgart
It was down.
is down as well. So it's not just northern Arkansas.
The whole state is down. The whole, almost every
don't know
big
there.
district is significantly down.
So I did look at kindergarten numbers last year across the state. If you look on the DESE website, about 1,000 fewer kindergartners last year across the state. So I expect that number to be down even further this year.
Is there any reasoning behind that? I know, and it's the first COVID babies are coming into kindergarten.
Well, most of those babies will come next year, too.
Okay.
We'll have several come in next year because we're right at that 5 years right now, and they have to be 5 by August 1, correct, Mr. Roach? So projections are the number will go up next year. It's not going to go up like we've seen, projections. But we could be sitting at 280 kindergartners next year. I don't know. Our preschools say their numbers are low as well. our preschool alliance, we met 4 times this year, and each one said that their pre-K class was the small, well, I know one in particular, the smallest they'd ever had. I mean, there's just no, they're just
Not
not
there.
here right now.
Okay. Student transfers.
Well, we were doing really well till we had a family of 4 show up today. They live almost in Cotter, so of course we're not going to hold them back. 3 in, 6 out, and 4 of those we had today come see us. So
That mom said for pickup purposes, she can pick all her kids up at one campus in Cotton.
something to
Yeah.
think about as well.
Yeah, get that.
Something to think about as well. So, can't argue with that. And they seriously live much closer. I did talk to them, great family, nothing wrong with Mountain Home.
Next item is our facilities report, Mr. Knight. The other Mr. Knight.
All right, so Monday, the roofing company showed up. Of course, on their first day, they ripped all the shingles off, and the old decking from whenever that building was built, this old tongue groove has moved and slid, and there's large gaps in it. There is some damage, but we're expecting there to be damage. It was recommended by them to do a change form and to overlay that with 1/2-inch plywood. The architect agreed. I actually went ahead and bugged Mr. Gregory. He also found the price to be actually
He thought it was
very
cheap.
reasonable. So I went ahead and signed that. They've already started putting that up. Also, Tuesday, good news, you guys are funded for the roof. So I went ahead and reran the numbers for you. So you got a $665,000 roof we approved, that pretty much $20,000 change order. The architect's fees are now in here because they will pay for part of that. So total looks like $371,495 right now.
Wow.
So it's almost a 50-50 split. And also, if we get into more damage and stuff, they'll continue to pay half of that. I think up to like $700,000.
Awesome.
So
And this was half of what the other bid was.
you got a very cheap roof.
And they've been great to work with so
Yeah.
far. I went in
So far.
today and talked to Miss Benton. She did get, there was a little wet.
We did
Had a few
have,
things
they
get a little
ripped
wet.
the roof off and we had a
Torrential
storm pump
downpour.
open, it absolutely drenched.
So they've been great. There are
Is
humidifiers
that
and
more money
fans
than we
and-
got in partnership money for the junior high roof?
Yes, because the wealth index and some other stuff changed.
So,
Yeah.
that's great news.
Yeah, we're actually finally, I know that we can't always guarantee that we get funded, and we probably won't be funded for most things, but
We did.
it used to be like,
This is a bonus.
okay, well, I'm gonna spend hours and hours of work to not get funded, and if you do get funded, was it worth the money? And it is worth, it
That
is
was worth
definitely
it.
worth it now.
Okay.
All right. Any questions?
If you get a chance, drop by.
It will not be done by then summer.
No. But drive by. They're working hard. About 10 of them today working.
No more questions there. We'll move on to our board action items. Mr. Knight,
All right,
copy paper
so
bid?
These next few that we do are the ones we always do yearly before school starts. The first one we have in the past and can continue to do it this year is to enter into consortium pricing with the co-op, where they take all the schools, bulk order the paper for us and try to save us a little bit of money. So that was bid out. This is pretty significant less than last year. We didn't order as much paper. I'm trying to be a little bit less conservative with it this year. So I'm asking that you approve the low bid of $27,602.30, not including tax, for this year's copy paper.
I make a motion, we approve the yearly copy paper bid as presented. Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none.
How
All
many
those in
stores
favor?
paper?
We're moving it to, we used to have a full-time carpenter. We're gonna move it into that building because it's heated. We've had
Some issues.
problems with humidity and stuff in the past, so.
In the Ozarks? Humidity in the Ozarks?
We had a, yeah,
It's bad.
it was a rough time.
Any other questions? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Paper plastics.
Okay, so for our custodial needs, for the year, this is toilet tissue, paper towels, trash bags. We bid that out, in bulk, and I'm recommending, I believe we had 4 bidders. The 4th bidder, someone over the internet, they just sent us like 3 trash bags, with not a lot of information. But bidder 3 is the cheapest, and I'm recommending that we go with bidder number 3 at $93,053.96.
Bidder 1 did not include the toilet paper.
Okay.
No, that's what I was looking at, I was like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
okay.
you've got $30,000 of toilet paper.
That's a lot of toilet paper.
Kinda need that.
It is, and you also remember too that we have to be very
covered.
specific on the bid because only certain things fit in all of the containers we already have in dispensers.
I make a motion to approve the yearly paper and plastic bid as presented.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Next item, Chris.
It's busy.
All right, so, same thing every year, we have to bid, all the food products and up to all the vendors that the cafeteria is gonna use. Tom worked extremely hard on this, especially with milk. You know, a lot of those things are also not apples to apples, so I think if you look at some milk, I think one of the bidders was 2 cents higher on white milk, but cheaper on chocolate, and there's other services in there. I'm recommending, the board accept the highlighted items for the milk, bread, and chemical, groceries, and supplies as presented. I know that's a lot for spreadsheets there, so.
I make a motion, we approve the food service bid for the 25-26 school year as presented.
Second that.
Motion and second, any discussion?
I could tell there was a lot of work put into this. When you look at those spreadsheets and, well, this is a better price here and this is a better price, and try to analyze.
Everyone's case count's different, and he worked very hard on
Totally.
this.
I was really, happy to see the multiple bids for milk, because in previous years, we've only gotten a single bid for milk, so that goes to show the effort that was
Remember
put
what we
into
did last year?
to getting those bids.
Last year, we had always had one person that got us, and Tom was not happy with the pricing we were gonna get. And remember, we spent some money and bought some coolers and sent it somewhere else, and they came back this year and lowered their prices significantly, so it worked.
Very good.
Yep.
There's a really good attachment as well that explains, Mr. Mary did a fantastic job. It explains exactly why he went with certain.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you all very much.
Thanks, Chris. 24 to 26 contract disclosures, Ms. Cotter?
Oh, I gotta go.
Oh, yes, Ms. Morgan. Stay out of the banana pudding.
Okay, before I get started on this, I do want to preface this with, according to the state guidelines, it's not necessary that we bring this before you. However, for transparency's sake, we wanted to bring this before you. As you recall, there was a sale of the Gamelia property, and that buyer wanted to use, or chose to use, Legacy Title Company. And Miss Molly Morgan's spouse is a co-owner of that company. So just for transparency's sake, she would like for us to bring this before you. This is not something that would go to the commissioner because it doesn't meet the dollar amount. So, like I said, this is just to make sure that we're transparent in what is happening with Legacy Title Company. So, this is part of, or references part, Arkansas Act 1599 that requires districts to make known to the public any potential transactions with related parties. And And attached, you have a resolution just letting you know the relationship between Miss Molly Morgan as a board member and her spouse as a co-owner of Legacy Title Company. And this would also cover if for some reason there were some type of property transaction in the future. But if it was above a $5,000 dollar amount, that would have to have commissioner approval. So this is simply for transparency. And so I'm asking the board to approve the resolution to do business with Legacy Title Company.
I make a motion to approve the contract disclosures as presented.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion?
And this was, the buyer requested Legacy.
Correct. We will not be paying the fees on that, that selling of that property, the buyer will. But that business will be associated with that transaction and the public school, and so she just wanted to be transparent about that.
Sure. So the intent is, you know, to pass this for the specific transaction, but this does apply for the whole year.
Yes, we needed it.
Legacy's a great title company. I've used them personally before. So, I mean, nothing against Legacy. If the district comes into other sales, I would recommend that we look at other title companies just to prevent any appearance of nepotism or anything like that, right? Since we do have other options here in town, but.
Yes, sir.
Case by case basis.
Sure.
And
In the past, there was a property purchased, the last I remember, would be across from junior high. Mr. Morgan, as the district attorney, did help with that property purchase. However, at that time, they did not have a title company. So he has been part of purchasing before, or, I'm sorry, property transactions before. He's just never had a company. So this, we're not paying this company, but the sale, they will benefit from.
Yes, ma'am.
From the person who is purchasing, because they're paying all closing costs.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Can I get Molly?
I'm gonna grab Miss Morgan.
Would you get Miss?
Was it good?
no, you're out.
We approved. Next item is Connor's purchase is over 20,000.
This is the time of year when we bring to you a list of vendors and estimated amounts of what the expenditures might be for the year and descriptions of what those expenditures would include. Several of these are not one-time payments. It could be over the series of over the course of the whole school year, but we want to make the board aware that these are, you know, significant amounts.
Insurance.
Any questions? I guess it doesn't matter.
I'll make a motion here. I make a motion, we approve the purchases over 20,000 as presented.
Second that.
A motion and a second, any discussion?
Just people need to understand and be aware, I'm sure they do, but a lot of these, you know, therapies are required.
Yes, sir.
Like, we have to provide them, so there has to be somebody that we're gonna pay this money to, whether it's this group or that group, and there's only so many of these providers out there that provide speech therapy, physical therapy, OT, et cetera. So that's what a lot of these big dollars that we look at, it is mandated that we spend that money and give these children these therapies, so.
So an example is Solution Tree. Another example is, you know, that's a pretty significant amount, but we have grants that we're utilizing to purchase these things. So we just want to make you aware of these big ticket items that that it takes to run our school and serve our kids and
So I want to
teachers.
ask this question. It's as much for the public to understand as, because I still don't always grasp it all. A lot of these contract services, the people work full-time within our district. Do we ever try to hire our own therapists? And I know we used to. I know we've had a few.
So Ms. Benton, can you speak to we ran some numbers.
Yeah.
I did a lot of work on this, and one of the things that would have to come about for that to occur is providing competitive salary and benefits for those providers to have interest in coming to work for our district. That would be taking something to PPC of a proposed salary schedule and benefits. I've created a draft of that. I've done research from other districts, and then did comparative data related to what we are currently expending. And the conversations that I had this a long time ago with Dr. Long, because I've done the research for several years. What you run into is, yes, there are pockets where you do save money. There were pockets where we didn't necessarily save money, but you run into, you may save a little bit of money if you can hire all the positions. But if you can't hire all the positions, then you gotta hope that you can still find a provider that's willing to work when you say, I only need one person rather than 8. And I'm making up numbers on that.
Sure.
Piece, but that becomes a little more difficult because unless you can hire all of your positions, you've gotta be careful not to
Offend your provider, yeah.
And it would be very difficult to find physical therapists that would be willing to work for on our current salary schedule.
I will,
And the
I
salary
mean, we
schedule
used to
that's-
hire speech.
We could.
And then they would leave us, and we'd hire another speech, and they would leave us, and that's really not what's best for kids either.
I just know, and I have
So-
personal knowledge of speech therapists in other districts who there might be a little creative use of maybe extra time that they have to spend during the summer doing different things or what. There's an advantage, because I feel bad if I don't point this out. There's an advantage for some therapists. They don't have to they don't have to work in the summer. They still get a good salary, they get the benefits, they get whatever, but they don't have to work in the summer. And I wonder if we ever try to put out there, hey, here's an option, you can make a good salary. We will go off the grid just a little bit. We can go off the grid in order to attract our own therapists. It's kind of a give and take. We're not paying as much to a contract service. We're paying a little bit more than what we initially say, but we're not paying so we'd be saving money even though we're going off the grid of the salary schedule. And I don't know, this
The
may
salary
get me
schedule
nailed to a
part is the
cross. Does
hard-
PPC control that, or does the board control that? That's a question.
I can't answer that part, but I know that when I had these conversations, I was told that it would have to go to PPC. Any proposed salary schedule that I created for this would have to go to PPC. And the feeling is that it would appear that therapists are valued more than teachers, and that would maybe not go over well with PPC.
If a speech therapist came to us and said, hey, I'd like to work for the district, like, do we have the ability to hire, like, say, hey,
We
yep,
currently have a speech therapist that works for the district. We pay on the teacher salary schedule, and of course,
They're multipliers because of
they
their.
have some movement in that because of the education that they have.
Sure.
We did the
So if they
last.
do
And we
come-
advertised for a speech
Yes, that's-
pathologist for over a year without an applicant.
That's what I need to know.
That's where, because
Yeah, that's a big deal.
There's so much competition right now, even in the private sector.
Well, and in our community, stroke patients need speech therapy. We have a demand for them that I think in our community is greater with our elderly population that we would see in other communities, honestly. that don't have such a great number of elderly patients
I
that
don't know, I
utilize
just
speech
wonder if
therapy.
it's worth a shot to try.
Well,
And
sometimes you
at
can
times-
contract with companies and it'll cost you versus hiring that person. Cause if you hire that person, you also gotta remember, you gotta manage Social Security.
Oh,
labor,
100%. It
and all
still
that
might
stuff.
come out cheaper.
I
Might
doubt
come
it.
out better,
You
well.
got workers' comp and all, yeah.
Yeah, it might come out
And
cheaper.
I mean, we're not against advertising.
No.
Um,
It's just a question. I never hear that discussed, and we do a lot of contract labor.
Mhm.
And I do think sometimes there's a loyalty to your organization. When you work for the organization, you kind of have some control.
Do they also do the billing for Medicaid and things like that, or do we do that?
So they're required to enter in all of their notes into our Medicaid billing system that we have. And we actually require that on even our non-Medicaid students. That way, if they become Medicaid eligible, we can back bill on them.
So they input everything,
They
but
do.
we
Now, that's a big
actually,
plus.
We have a company that does that now for us, which if you.
We voted on
If
it,
you go
yeah.
back to all of the information that Leah presented earlier, you'll see our Medicaid money, and we're projected to have $700,000 of revenue for this coming.
So that's on top of paying the contract services. Then we
That
pay
is-
for a
that is,
medical billing.
Where as part of their agreements with us, they have to enter in those notes.
Mhm.
And then we get some reimbursement for the services.
But they file all the claims and so forth.
They,
the company.
the notes become the claims, and the
We
system
file the
pulls
claim.
that information.
We have a provider filing those claims, a third-party provider, yeah.
And it's proved very, very beneficial. We were doing it, we weren't using the provider last year.
It has freed up our staff that we have utilized previously to do the Medicaid billing to work on obtaining missing components that we've needed to be able to bill.
Even
So
more.
It's, our sheer volume of kids receiving therapy is also.
It's amazing.
We have over 300 kids getting speech therapy, and when I started here, we only had like 380 kids getting special education services total. So.
Those are good
Those
questions.
are great
Those are
questions.
great questions. And thank you for bringing it up.
Do we have any other questions? All those in favor? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're up, Ms. Benton.
Alright, tonight I am presenting a behavioral support agreement. I'm asking that the board approve this agreement because of the needs within our district and our special education program. Some of what we do is complete functional behavior assessments, and those assessments are very lengthy in process. And our current evaluators are the ones that have been doing those FBAs, and they will continue to do those, but they need some help in the observation piece because that does take a lot of time. Additionally, we have 2 new self-contained teachers for the coming school year. Those teachers will need some additional support as far as classroom design, instructional format, the behavioral strategies, and so forth. And so I am asking for the district to enter into an agreement with Ms. Jill Chinkowski. She is a previous teacher in the district, also was a previous special education supervisor, and has great experience working with the self-contained population and understands how to complete those observations.
Heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve the recommendation as presented.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? An estimate on hours?
I think, last year it really was
Wasn't
like
much.
very few. She even got to the point at some point she was like, I'm just gonna volunteer. But I don't, that's not necessarily appropriate for her to do all the time. I would say no more than 5 hours a month.
Okay.
It might vary, like, we'll probably spend more time in August trying to get our new special ed supervisors or it's not supervisors, that's only me, self-contained teachers ready to go for the school year, but she might not need to come back, you know, more than an hour or so to check on them. And as far as the FBAs, we did about 15 last year, so if we stay at that rate, that could increase
She had
the
about
hours.
25 hours last year, give or
Okay.
take. When I went and looked at her total, the total that we had paid her, it was nothing concerning,
Yeah.
as far as massive amounts of time and money.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous.
guys.
Thanks, Ms. Patton.
Good question.
Ms. Dewey.
Okay,
we
so over the past 6 months, work has been done to create a very generic schematic of a possible new high school rebuild project. As you know, all public school building projects must be reviewed and approved by the Arkansas Department of Education, their Division of Public School Academic Facilities and Transportation. In order to move forward with a possible funded building project, it is necessary to have approval by that division. I recommend that the board approve the submission of the schematic of a high school building project to the Division of Public School Academic Facilities and Transportation for early approval.
I make a motion, we approve the facilities plan submission as submitted.
Motion and second, any discussion?
I thank you for
This is just
Yeah,
one more
there's-
step and
there's been
hoping to
lots.
secure some funding is what it is.
Yes, and you do have to have your projects approved. You
Gotta
can't
have
just
them.
go build stuff. As a reminder, this schematic is located on our facilities page of our website. So all of the PowerPoints, slideshows, all of the meetings, there's a link to the live stream. If there's anybody that wants to come visit, I'm here.
There's been lots of discussion over the previous 6 months in our work session, so those are all on the live stream. People can watch them, reach out to us if you have questions. And
Yes, sir.
and this is just the first real step of many still to come before we ever get to a public ask.
Yes.
So this is just really kind of step one. Let's submit it, and hey, we're all in agreement that we agree with the work session.
I've had several people talk to me who watched the last presentation, and nobody spoke against it. Said that they thought this was a better fit for the community,
Great.
even if it costs the same amount of money.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous? Next item, Ms. Dewey.
Okay, so policy and procedure update. This is for section 7, policy 7.5. As you know, that rules and procedures in our policy handbook should be revised as needed. The policy below allows a more clear understanding of our bidding procedures and the desire of the district to be good stewards of taxpayer funds. The changes do not, Kelly, could you click on the changes are highlighted, and they're not necessary, there are not changes to how we will work in purchasing, but it does make the policy more clear. You'll notice if you refer back to the old policy, you'll see there's a period, and it separates the shall only be made by advertising, and there's a period, and then it states that bids will be received. We know that we want more than one bid, but shall is now not attached to bids. The same thing on number 3 with $20,000. It does say that bids shall be sealed, because we know that, and approved by the superintendent and the board. Bids is plural. It always has been plural, but this to me simply makes things more clear. And then finally, the last statement: to promote transparency, fairness, and fiscal responsibility, the district shall make reasonable effort to obtain multiple bids or quotes for all services and commodities, when feasible, even when not specifically required by law and/or policy. And that's just a statement that is, I believe, very responsive to what this board wants us to do with trusted taxpayer funds.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve policy section 7 update as presented.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion?
Yeah, I guess it's appropriate for me to talk since, I voted against a few items like milk that I know we've needed, but hey, in the past, we've gotten a single bid because there's only one bidder. And I said, hey, I feel like we're violating our policy just from the way it reads to accepting a single bid. So this is something that I've kind of been talking about. Hey, let's update this policy where we can accept a single bidder, or if we only get 2 bids for a project, where we can comfortably vote yes for it without feeling like we're violating our policy 7.5, which I brought up in the past. So that's kind of the intent here. It doesn't, as Ms. Dewey said, it's not changing how we're doing our bids or the processes or anything like that. It's just clearing up the language so we can accept those where we only get 1 or 2 bids without feeling like we're violating our own policy. That's the intent.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Board discussion? Quiet.
I'll just say one thing yet. I guess it's the Baxter County Republican Committee has a podcast that they're now doing. I know I was invited to be on it this coming Monday, just to kind of talk about, hey, school, hey, what's going on in the school from the board. So looking forward to being on that next Monday. If anybody out there in the community wants to talk to, I'm sure, I can't speak for all of y'all, but reach out to me. I suspect the other board members are willing to talk. First step of, hey, we've come up with a plan for the school, but we need to start talking to the community with it too. So I would encourage my fellow board members to, hey, start talking to constituents on why we've come to the decisions we've come to, and just any other board business. So I'm looking forward to that on Monday, and yeah, if anybody else wants to chat, reach out to us. Okay.
Ms. Dewey, you got
Oh,
anything?
of course I do. Special shout out to custodial, work done on floors, maintenance for the incessant, I guess that's the best word, mowing. It is growing as fast as they can get it cut, because I've decided we live in a tropical rainforest. It's growing, but everybody knows that because they have their own grass at home. Our folks are working hard to get our buildings ready for students August 12th. And just so thankful to them. These are hot summer days, and they're working hard. Professional development that's been led by our own people this summer, it's fantastic. And Ms. Lawrence pointed out to me the other day that we have experts in the field, and our own folks are being able to benefit from those experts and their presentations. So shout out to those teachers that are not only presenting, but those who are attending. Because we all know we have an opportunity to get better at our craft, get better at our jobs, get better at leadership, and the first step is that learning. I need to go over just a couple of dates.
Sure.
August 1, from 10 to 3, we'll be drop-in with Dewey at Central Office. So please, if you have anything, those that are on the live stream, those that are in the audience, come by if you'd like, and we'll visit. We'll get that advertised as well. I was going to say something else about August 1st. Oh, drop-ins. If you have a location in the community that you think would be good for a drop-in, if you'd let me know. We kind of took those on the road last year, and we didn't have a huge attendance at all of them, but I felt like that was a good way for us to get out there and get to some of our community locations that aren't in the center of Mountain Home. So if you have ideas for me, I'm kind of out of ideas right now, so please share them. If somebody's watching and they're like, I wish they'd come to this location, we'll see what we can do. August 4th is the first day of PD. That's the professional development. From 8 to 9, or however long you'd like to stay during that day, I'd like to invite each of you board members to be there, to be recognized as board members, and to enjoy breakfast with our staff. So our staff will be having a breakfast sponsored by PTO and Next, starting about 8:30. So please, if you're available, and I'll send y'all a reminder, but we would love to have you. And yes, we're going to point out who our board members are if you're available in there.
Is that Dunbar Day?
Yes, ma'am. That's affectionately known as Dunbar Day. Following the breakfast, we will have, we'll be celebrating some things there. And then we have Dr. Tyler Tarver is coming to speak to our staff about AI. And not necessarily how not to use it in the classroom, but how educators can benefit from AI. So Ms. Camp has been working with him some to make sure that our approved AI sites are what he will be promoting. So we're looking forward to that. I think it'll be energetic. Anybody who's heard him knows
He's
that
great.
he's great.
Great
He's
presenter.
energetic. He's gonna pump you up, and it's we don't need any downers on the first day, right? So
I might have missed it, but where's the location?
Dunbar.
For
And
breakfast?
Breakfast, we'll walk over to the cafeteria.
Things have changed.
About 8:30.
That's my first go around.
So 8 o'clock in Dunbar, we'll do our kickoff. At 8:30-ish, we'll be walking over to the cafeteria for breakfast. We've got band, we've got cheer, we've got NJROTC, we've got choir. It's gonna be fun, gonna be exciting. August 7th, we will be having our school board meeting. So just a reminder, that's very, very early. It's 3 weeks.
And
3 weeks, is that
it's
right?
my birthday that.
Okay, so we'll need a birthday cake for Marcia on August 7th. Per policy, we must have a meeting and an approved budget before the first day of school, first day of students, so August 7th. And August 12th, first day with kids. If you are interested in going to a building, being at car loading that morning, coming after school, walking the halls, please feel free to. If you'd like me to give you an idea of where to go, that'd be great. A lot of times we focus on those younger grades, but man, high school and junior high would love to see y'all as well.
I would have loved to have been there. I'll be out of town.
So, well, it is almost your birthday week. It's just right after your birthday.
Yeah, that's a birthday trip.
It's a birthday week now.
Good for you. It's a birthday week. August 4th, I'll be on the Republican podcast. I'm looking forward to just sharing information about getting started for the new school year. I am asking the board for a favor. October 16th is our October board meeting. I had the opportunity to see reading instruction at a district in Lafayette, Louisiana. This is in correlation with the Leaders of Literacy letters training that I've been able to do this year. This will be with a group of superintendents. This is all supported by DESE. Most of you, if you have researched at all literacy reform in our country, Louisiana is leading the charge. And if you all are comfortable with it, I'd like to move that October 16th scheduled meeting to October 14th, just the Tuesday before. Is that something that's kind of putting y'all on the spot?
I don't have my phone on. Calendar.
I'm good with it. I don't have anything then. What a wonderful way to spend a Tuesday.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm okay with it.
Thank you.
Kind of resonates.
I've got to boot up here.
October 14th?
Yes, sir, versus the 16th.
Works
Coming
better for
up
me.
Tuesday, you get the first day off.
Yeah, if you come Tuesday, you get Thursday off, but I'm going to Louisiana.
Well, 15th starts AEP. I probably wouldn't be here on the 16th.
So I can share those dates tomorrow. I'll send an email where I share the dates and just make sure we'll update our website if that's agreeable with you all
I'm good on the 14th.
as well.
So the August 7th meeting replaces the 21st, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we won't have the 21st.
No, and that's already on the website.
Yeah,
That
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I'm just making sure it is, but yeah,
It's
no,
my
you
night
won't
of
have to.
questions.
And I'll be looking for some September dates for a work session and goal setting, so I'll get with you all. I'll throw out a few dates, and if you'll just respond and let me know what works. Thank you for agreeing to that. I do think it'll be beneficial.
Anything else? Okay, we'll go ahead and move into executive session for personnel employment, retirements, and transfers.